Hey guys, Urban Reddit here. How's it going? Anyway, we're back with another subreddit. Today it's ProRevenge. So again, grab your copy, put up your feet, and let's have some fun as we read ProRevenge. Almost forgot what I was reading then. Anyway, let's get on to the first one. This one is called Almost Make Me Fertile, I'll Ruin Your Relationship. A long time ago, I was a young man in an old boys' secondary school. I was about 14, and my friend and I were regularly bullied by a large group of older guys. Being typically nerdy boys, we were prime candidates for bullying. The only saving grace was that we were quite a large group ourselves, so no one person was targeted more than any other. Unfortunately, that didn't matter as the bullying was brutal. On our school grounds there was a small cabin that belonged to the local Boy Scouts that we used to hang out around on our lunch break. One day we had a run-in with the bullies when they tried to steal our football. For daring not to hand it over, I was singled out for punishment. So I was grabbed by four of them, each one grabbing an arm and a leg, and carried around the corner to a small courtyard with a flagpole in the middle. After a few punches were struggling, I was swung backwards and forwards a few times before being swung legs apart and full forced into the pole. Oh man, I feel sorry for him. That's gotta hurt. Anyone out there who's male knows how much it hurts when something like that happens. Any attempts to describe how painful that was wouldn't do justice. Thankfully, one of my friends had made a run for a teacher, and they were stopped coming towards the group by a look at before they had a chance to make another swing, and they dropped me and legged it. I was carried to the school office, nauseous and in tears, and my mum was called. She found me with an ice pack between my legs and ghoulies the size of oranges. Oh man, I feel sorry for him now. As she was talking to the receptionist and my teacher, my friends ran up to me and passed me a mobile phone. I was confused that I didn't own one, and it was at a time when they weren't nearly as common as they are now, and they didn't even have games on them yet. It was an early model Nokia with an LCD screen. I looked at my friend and asked who it was. He told me one of the bullies had dropped it as they ran off, and he thought that I should have it as a small way of getting back at him. I took the phone and left with my mum. That evening I was in my bedroom feeling sorry for myself, and I'd forgotten about the phone in my blazer pocket until I heard it go off. I took it out and saw he received a text message from his girlfriend. This was before phones had sophisticated locks, and the bully hadn't set a passcode. I had no idea which bully had owned the phone, but I had his name now at least. I decided to mess with him. I was off school the next day, but when I went back in, I talked to my friends about it and we came up with a plan. One of my friends with a mobile phone was going to message him, pretending to be a guy he met recently, and we were going to make it look like he'd been having a relationship with him and meeting in secret. We carried on sending messages for the rest of the week, and I was also replying to his girlfriend, although I deliberately made my reply shorter and less intimate than they had been before I got hold of the phone. I arranged for my bully to meet his girlfriend in a local town that Saturday, but I was planning to stand her up, obviously, whilst simultaneously having my friend text the phone about ditching her to go over to his instead. I replied agreeing and said I'll tell her I couldn't make it. I didn't. I waited in town where we were supposed to meet and saw a girl woke up and wait for a bit. She then got out her phone and tapped a text. The phone went off in my pocket. I left it alone. She waited a few more minutes and texted me again. This time I walked around the corner out of sight and messaged her back, asking who this was. She flipped out and shouted at me for messing her around. I told her that I had found the phone on the floor of the bus station in the town, and if she knew the owner, I'd come and give it to her so she could give it back to the owner if she was nearby. She told me where she was, and I waited 5 minutes before walking round the corner and looking around for her. Eventually, through texting, we found each other and I gave her the phone. She thanked me and we went our separate ways. On Monday, I told my friends that we pulled it off, and we just had to wait and see what happened. It wasn't long into the week when gossip started spreading through the school. The bully's girlfriend had read the messages, and it seemed had dumped him for having a gay affair. On top of that, she'd done it by going to his house on Sunday and calling him out in front of his parents, who it turns out were not fans of that sort of thing at all. When he denied it, she pulled out the phone and read message after message. His claims he lost it over the week were ignored, and I was not suspected. In response, his parents pretty much disowned him, and he was only saved by his uncle, who was a little more understanding. He lost contact with a lot of his friends, as his uncle's house was a lot further away, so hanging out after school or at the weekend was almost impossible, and his preference for men was well so known by now that no girls seemed interested. As far as I know, his parents never took him back, and he moved to London to go to university to escape his reputation at home. I only had expected to break him and his girlfriend up, but that was an unexpected bonus. I'll say it went too far, but having your nuts smashed up a flagpole tends to harden you for the plight of your bully. Wow. What this guy done was savage. Not only did he break up his relationship, he broke up the relationship with his friends, his parents. On top of that, no girl in the town even wanted to be near him. Well, or be with him, rather. Wow, savage indeed. Anyway, let's get on to the next one. This one's called I Got Stamped for 500, but later not only did the scammer return the 500, but I also got 10,000 more. So a few years back, during the boom of these weirdly specific t-shirts on Facebook, I operated a design agency. My clients were people selling those shirts, and I had a couple designers in my company along with a huge pool of potential hires. One guy selling thousands of shirts hired my agency. We did some designs for him, and since I was stupid, I accepted to be paid after the request delivered. Surprise, surprise, he didn't pay and left me 500 in the hole. I was angry, but I moved on since I had a lot of work already. A few days later, I got his email asking if I was interested in designing shirts. The idiot CC'd me in the email along with some other designers. Since I had an agency, I recognised most of the designers because I had a huge pool of people I would potentially hire. I hatched a plan. He hired 3 separate designers. I know that because I still had access to his shared Dropbox folder, and I recognised those designer names from my pool of potential hires. I waited a week and then sent those 3 designers an email offering them a higher pay. They left that client. Now the client had no designers and I was desperate, so he hired me back and gave me $500 along with a 10% commission of shirt sales on Teespring. That would pass 1,000 units. I put that provision in so that I could know what his winning shirts were. When I started doing was that I would use copyright vectors in the design. I would upload the design on Teespring before sending him the design. Slowly I learned which designs were the winners based on the commission. This is when I struck. I partnered with the original artists about the copyright infringement to report those designs to Teespring and pointed Teespring to the original campaigns I uploaded. Teespring returned all the profit made off those designs to the original artists, and I got sweet 10,000 from it, from all the original artists as a courtesy. Once mission was accepted, I posted the scammer details in every group forum and site rip-off report so that he couldn't hire the next designers easily. You don't mess with a man and his pay. Wow. Good for him, I guess. The scammer got called out. That's the thing. Never try to scam a person another time, twice, or you're always going to get caught out. Anyway, on to the next one. This one's a bit of a longer one, but I'm sure we will get through it. Right, so let's start. This one's called My Sexist Teacher Who Humiliated and Insulted Her Student Gets What She Deserves. So this is my first post on the subreddit and one of my first on Reddit in general, so please forgive me for formatting errors. If r/ is reading this, it's an incredible horror and I love your videos, and this is super long one, so buckle up and let's get on with the story. Well, I don't know if r/ is reading this, but I can guarantee you that Urban Reddit is reading it, and it will be up on YouTube. So this story happened a few years ago when I was about 14 to 15 years old, during my freshman year of high school, grade 9. If you talk to my friends now, and even if you talk to them back then and ask them what my favourite subject in school was, it would always be English. Literature, reading, writing. I'm in the American school system. I met my horrible teacher on the first day of high school. We were calling Miss Z. Miss Z seemed like a nice, caring, normal teacher. How wrong I was. She would give us projects sometimes, as English teachers do, and would give us specific instructions, and she even called herself the Queen of Direction. My classmate and I thought it was simple enough to follow them, and we did. We even double-checked our project twice. However, when it was time to turn it in, Miss C started screaming at us about not following the directions. Even though we had followed the directions exactly, we didn't think much of it, and just fixed whatever little reason that she called us out on, which happened to be not writing the character analysis, although it was literally right under where she was looking. We wrote another one and went on our way. This seemed to happen every single project that we did in our class. I wonder if she's actually singling those like that, or is it the whole class? We'll find out. The next incident was her refusing to let us say "hey guys" in the classroom because apparently it doesn't include girls. Really? Oh, we got feminists here as well. So we had to say "hey y'all" or "hey guys and girls," which was really annoying. I am a girl and I don't really care when somebody acknowledges the group with "hey guys," and several of my female friends agreed that it was really stupid. She also was extremely sexist and preferred the girls in my class over the guys, and more guys were called out in class for simply being guys. They haven't done anything wrong. We got sounds like a feminine Nazi. You guys don't know what that is. It's a feminist, but who's a bit more extreme. They think that guys owe everything, and that guys should basically die and not exist. Anyway, let's get on with the story. Yet another incident happened after class was over. I had her for the last class of the day before we all went home. So of course everyone was antsy during the last few minutes of class. She always made us say "thank you Miss Z for teaching us today" after class was over in this stupid musical tone. We forgot to say it one time because we all had different activities to go to, and she actually made us stay for 30 minutes after school to teach us a lesson. Well, she can't do that. Try explaining to your parents why you were late to your very expensive tutoring lesson. Then there was this other time when we had written and turned in essays. After grading them, she walked up to the front of the class and proclaimed that our essays were horrible, and that I wanted to puke on them and was reading them, and that students had written better essays than you guys. She had taught much about writing during the year, and I was thinking, woman, if you had taught us how to write essays, that would be much better, but you haven't taught us anything. It was at that point one of my good friends said, well, maybe it's because the teacher's name actually teaches her students how to write. I watched as her face fell and the bell to end the day rang. We hastily stammered out "thank you Miss Z for teaching us today," and rushed out the door. I still chuckled about this to this day. Then there was this last incident which made my blood boil. My friend had been walking home from school when her car hit her. She had been in the hospital for about 2 weeks recovering when she came back. Miss Z had the nerve to ask her, "why didn't you do your homework?" And all I could think of as I watched my friend on the verge of tears was, "Lady, when was she supposed to do her homework? Under anesthesia? She doesn't even have the book the homework was on." She also singled me out on several occasions, specifically for not following directions given by the Queen of Direction, and for forgetting to bring a pencil this one time. I remembered that we were working in dead silence, and she decided that it was the perfect time to discuss my less than satisfactory project. Miss C's voice was well above a whisper, and I knew that everyone in the room could hear about the horrible job that I had done. I remember being so humiliated that I felt the hot tears running down my cheeks before I could stop them. Thank goodness that my classmates were sympathetic. It got so bad that I started to hate English, and I would hear my heart beat in my ears whenever I walked into a classroom. Everyone in my class hated her as well. Yeah, it was almost the end of the school year, but I was done. Revenge starts now. I waited until we had a substitute teacher one day. She was at a meeting or something, and collected statements from each of my classmates. I asked them to write down exactly what they thought about Miss Z and what she had done to them. I then typed up each of the statements so Miss Z wouldn't recognise handwriting, and sent them to my counsellor and assistant principal. I then walked into their respective offices the next day and told them everything that I had witnessed in class, and encouraged them to read the file that I had sent them. I talked with my parents, and I set up a meeting with Miss Z, my teacher and assistant principal, my parents and me. The day of the meeting arrived. Miss Z had set up chairs arranged in a circle. Really? It's a bit childish. She sits at one end, the stupid grin on her face, as the rest of us take our seats. I sit on the chair opposite her so I can see her face. Miss Z starts about how she was an amazing teacher, how her students were amazing, blah blah blah. She stops talking and looks at me. My counsellor say, "What do you have to say?" I notice that we all have copies of my classmates' statements except for Miss Z. I hand Miss Z an extra copy of the statements, and I start to speak. I talk to her about what I had seen her do in the classroom and how she affected my classmates. I talked about how English was my favourite subject and how she had almost ruined it for me. I talked about how she was the first teacher that had made me cry. Aren't you supposed to go crying to your teachers instead of crying because of them? I talked about how unfair she was. I presented the evidence, aka all of the above incidents and the others that I'm too lazy to type. After I finished talking, I smoked a little as Miss C's face turned from a grin to a look of absolute horror. I looked at my counsellor and assistant principal. They had faces of absolute shock. My assistant principal said, "Thank you for bringing this to my attention. You and your parents may leave now." As I'm leaving with my parents, my counsellor says in an ice-cold tone voice, "Miss Z, please come to the office with us." I don't know exactly what went down, but she was surprisingly nice the next day. But I wasn't done yet. After a quick Google search, I found Miss Z's Facebook, Twitter, personal website and YouTube videos. Apparently she was trying to be a comedian, and her husband hosted this pretty bad TV show. I texted my friends in her class the links and told them to spam the pages with what she had done to them and how bad of a teacher she was. I also told them to pass it on to the students in her other classes. It wasn't like her social media accounts were private or kept secret. Anybody who googled the name would be able to find it, and she had mentioned her accounts on more than one occasion. At this point, there were only 2 weeks of class left before school let out for summer, and we all watched as her mood happened day after day of spring and strings of comments from angry students in every class. I remember her on the last day of school. Her lips looked like she sucked a lemon, and as pale as death, trying to keep it together. I initially laughed, knowing that monster deserved it. During the summer, all my friends texted me that I was a hero and that we had finally put an end to Miss Z's reign of terror. Now my school's administration is not supposed to disclose information about what exactly happened to Miss Z, but all of us are pretty sure that she was fired because it's been a few years and her room had been given to a more pleasant and understanding teacher. I've been more patient and understanding, kind, amazing teacher since then, and I love the subject more than ever. I'm usually an understanding, patient person, but I do have a limit. I may look harmless, but you should not underestimate the lengths that I will go to make sure you get a proper punishment for your wrongdoings. Well, I guess she deserves what she's got if she's singling out guys. And then bullying on students amongst of it. Anyway guys, that's all the time I got from that. If you enjoyed today's video, then please do leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe and click on that bell notification. But until the next video, bye bye.